Hello and welcome back to my channel. This week I'm just going to show you a few things that I've been up to during my week. I'm starting here making some homemade firelighters. I've gathered my bits, got some star anise, some cloves, some dried flowers, quite like the pinks, purples, orange combination, some small pine cones and some wicks. And the base of these fire starters is soya wax. I'm also going to add in a little bit of beeswax. So a lot of the recipes that I've seen for this online, as I've seen varying ones, have suggested using silicone moulds to make these in. I've got some paper cupcake cases and I'm going to use those. It seemed to work quite well. And Mark suggested afterwards that I could have left the cases on because those would burn quite nicely too. So I'm just filling each of these cupcake cases half with the soya wax, and then I'll add a little bit of the beeswax on top. And then you add these to a cool oven, about 100 degrees, and I just did that for 5 to 7 minutes until the wax melted. And then at this point you can start adding in all of your decorative bits. I've added a pine cone into each of my fire starters, along with some cloves, and then a mixture of the dried flowers. I did add a couple of drops of clove oil into the wax afterwards as well, just to give it a stronger burning smell. And then to finish them off, just adding a little wick in the middle of each one. Did have to work fairly quickly, so it was a good idea to have everything prepped when the wax comes out of the oven. And then just allow these to set, and they're so pretty. I just loved how these looked. I haven't tried one yet, but all of the things that I could find online said that the wax does burn off when you light it, so you don't get a mess at the bottom of your fireplace. But I think if I make any more, I will keep the wrappers on, as they still look quite cute. So to keep them stored, I've got this old coffee jar that I'd finished. So I've washed that out, and just putting them into this jar makes them quite decorative. They can just sit by the fireplace, and they'd make a really lovely gift if you've got anyone with an open fire or wood burning stove. We're getting to the end of our vegetable growing season, and the runner beans are now ready to be removed. So we've left a few of the pods on the plant to dry out, so we've got some more beans to plant for next year. And then we'll just take off any remaining beans to have with our dinner tonight, and then we can start removing the plants. got quite a good harvest this year, so that was really nice to see. And we didn't really have any very big storms, as in the past, no matter how hard we've anchored our beans, they have come down in bad weather. So I'm very pleased with how they turned out this year. See, it's a bit blustery today, but at least it was dry, so that was a good time to take these down. Once we've got them all down, we can also clear the ground in preparation for the winter. And it's a really nice spot, actually. I'll probably plant beans again in this exact place next year. Luckily, this job didn't take very long at all. But it does make a big difference to how the garden looks. So I've completed our weekly food shopping. I've got quite a few satsumas this week, as we all wanted some. Got lots of bananas, a pack of apples for Mark, as he takes them for lunch at work. These rather lovely looking kiwi fruits are on offer, so I've picked some of them up for Mark. And then I've got our usual bits of salad, cucumber and pepper there, and some avocados for me, as I do love a bit of avocado toast. Then for the store cupboard, I've got some HP fruity sauce, as we were out, and some Alpen, eggs, as we used quite a few of those, and the Warburton's crumpets. Really nice tea time treat at the moment. And then we've got some pork and apple sausages, as we're going to have sausage and mash one day this week. And my Nectar Price was giving me some good offers on the dumplings again, so I thought I'd try these soup dumplings. Mashed potato and some vanilla ice cream. It's a bit of a treat. We are having beef bourguignon again this week. Really enjoying it as quite a lazy Sunday lunch, and then we heat it up again for Monday. So I've got some packs of diced beef, the slow cook stuff, as we put it in a slow cooker, some fairly cheap house red wine, some rather large shallots. They did take quite some time to cook, but they were delicious, and some part bake bread to go with it. And then they've substituted butter mushrooms for some large mushrooms, but they were still delicious. And then drinks, I've got this ginger cordial, some of Mark's energy drinks, some more of the flavoured fizzy water, and milk. So quite a small shop for us this week. It is now Saturday, and Mark and I are heading off out this evening. We needed to take some food with us, or wanted to, should I say. Sort of a picnic, and I'm going to make a cheesy pumpkin. So I'm going to start off with some sheets of cling film, and I've got a couple of packs of Boursin garlic and herb cream cheese. And the idea is that you shape the cream cheese into a pumpkin shape, and to make it look like with the orange pumpkin, I'm going to use some grated red Leicester around the outside. So I've got a couple of packs of Boursin. I think that will be enough to create a nice sized pumpkin. I'm just going to pop that in the middle of the cling film. And then just using the cling film around the outside, mould that very loosely into the start of a pumpkin shape. And then using a very fine grater, I'm going to grate some of the red Leicester, and then gently place that around the outside of the borsan. And then just bring the cling film round to help secure the red lest of the grated cheese to the cream cheese. I'm using 2 layers of cling film just in case there's any leakage and to make it nice and secure. And then to create the true pumpkin shape, I'm using a length of string that I am just wrapping round the pumpkin 3 times, and each time I'm tying it off, just pulling it firmly to create the indents to make it look more pumpkin-like. And then I'll just pop that in the fridge for a few hours until it sets nicely, and then we can unwrap it. So to go with the cheesy pumpkin, I'm going to cut some tortilla wraps out in these leaf shapes that I've got, and sprinkle them with paprika and bake them in the oven for a few minutes. So these are corn and wheat tortillas, and I hope they will give quite a nice crunch. Got these 2 cookie cutters, biscuit cutters. One's like a maple leaf shape and the other one an oak leaf. Took me a few tries, but after a while I realised how I could go through multiple layers at once, and it made it a lot quicker. So I'm just going to lay these out and then spray them with a little bit of vegetable oil and then sprinkle them with paprika. I realised afterwards that peri peri salt would have been probably a nicer mix, or even to shallow fry them. I thought this was a quick option as I was running out of time. So I found about 3 minutes on each side worked best for this at 190 in the oven. The first batch I did, I left them in too long, and you'll see in a moment they really weren't very edible. And so these are the ones that I had to discard. But these ones, about 3 minutes on each side, worked very nicely. also picked out a few apples to go with this cheesy pumpkin. We'll slice them up when we get there so they don't go brown. But that'll be quite a nice addition. Pumpkin's had a few hours to set in the fridge, so he's ready to unwrap. It's looking quite good, but to truly make it look like a pumpkin, I've saved a pepper stalk and I'll just pop that in the top, and it really completes this look quite nicely. I'm really pleased with how that turned out and looked. So now we're off out. It's early evening and Mark and I are heading off to Surrey to watch Hocus Pocus on an outdoor cinema screen at a National Trust property. We were really lucky with the weather. As you can see, it's quite sunny and the trees were looking absolutely stunning. Yes, it did get cold, but we came fully prepared with blankets and coats, scarves, the lot. Some of our friends were really prepared and brought things like hot water bottles or like Oodies and things like that. We even saw some other people with some camping stoves, like toasting marshmallows, and it was a really fun atmosphere in a really beautiful setting. There were even some food sellers there. So Mark and I had a pizza, and then we could have a beer as well. And so people are just chilling out and having a bit of an autumn picnic before we started the film. And this gorgeous, gorgeous, beautiful pink sunset really set the mood. We had a great evening. The next day, Mark and I headed out over to Bognor Regis again. Seems to be a favourite place of ours at the moment. And we headed out to a park.
Oh, that's a nice one. Look at that.
That is a nice one.
Well,
Mm-hmm. I've actually got 3. It's really lovely weather again today, and everywhere was just looking super beautiful with the autumn colours and leaves. So it's really nice to get out for a little bit. And we did collect a few little bits to add to the autumn/Halloween display. It seems like all the trees are so heavily laden this year. There are so many seeds and pine cones and conkers and acorns and berries and apples everywhere, just driving along. Everywhere seems so heavily laden. It's really nice to see. What you got there for me, Mark? Look at that. Oh, wait a minute. After Mark and mine's little outing this morning to the park, these are the bits that we foraged. So we'll start off with some pine cones. And then we've got some acorns, some brown and some green, very pretty. And then I've got these little branches with some mini pine cones on. And then these chestnuts, got to be very careful with them, they're very spiky. And there was just such an abundance of these, and they got stuck in your shoes as you walked through. That was quite amusing. And a few decorative twigs. See if I've got a little jar to pop these in. And then a rather lovely selection of autumn leaves. I have seen some ideas where you can dip these in a thin layer of wax to preserve them so that they can be used again and again, and they keep really well. I may consider doing that because these are so lovely. They're definitely going to be added into my autumn display. And then one other thing I thought I'd show you this week. I picked up this book called Paper, Paper, Paper. Now, I love all kinds of craft, but paper craft has to be my first love. I spent a lot of time during my school year, particularly my GCSE art, using collage as my main process, and that translates quite well into scrapbooking, which I haven't done very much recently, but I still love paper collections, and this book just ticked all the marks. So there are all kinds of different books within this one, but this is a vintage retro paper collection. So there's like postcards, stickers, decorative papers, bookmarks, envelopes, tags. Like here you can cut out an envelope, and it all just ties in together, and I really love retro vintage as well. So I had to buy this. It's so beautiful. In fact, I might struggle actually using the pages because it's like a great coffee table book, and I just want to sit there and look at all of these beautiful papers. In the shop that I was looking at, they didn't have it, but I know that they also do a vintagey Christmas version of this book, so I'll be on the lookout for that as well. This book was definitely not within my budget this month, and a bit of a splurge at £25, but worth every penny. Thanks for watching this week. I hope you have a good one, and I'll see you next time. Ta-ra for now.